Thank you, James, Brother James, for helping us worship today. Christy, that was a good sermon. There was a man who had two sons. These two sons also had a mother. If it were Mother's Day, I would preach on the motherhood of God, reflected in that remarkable image of Jesus weeping over Jerusalem, longing to gather her children like a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, from Luke 13. But since it's Father's Day, I want to focus on the compassionate father in the parable of the prodigal son. And one note as we begin: Martin Luther, who gave us the Reformation, famously struggled to pray the words, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." His own father was demanding and severe, and Luther carried that wound for years, seeing God more as a judge and accuser than as a father. Many people share that experience. So if your father was harsh or absent or frightening, the phrase "our Father" can feel like a closed door. And I want you to know that the father in this parable is not that father. And the God of Psalm 103, which we read today this morning, is not that God. The compassionate father, depicted in the psalm and in the parable, has been captured in one of the greatest paintings ever made. Take a look on the screen. I hope that comes up. It's Rembrandt's painting. There it is, The Return of the Prodigal Son, painted in the 17th century. It was painted in the final years of Rembrandt's earthly life. He was only 63 when he died. It hangs on a full wall in the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia, and it takes up a whole wall. It's nearly life-sized. So you feel you're stepping into the scene rather than viewing it from a distance. So you can see it there in your bulletin, and the canvas holds 5 figures. Which one do you most identify with? The younger son who ran away to the far country, the older son who stayed home, the witnesses or the witness sitting nearby, or one of those shadowed figures in the background, or the compassionate father himself. Well, the spotlight in this painting, where most of the light is on a humbled, kneeling son with broken shoes, a shaved head. He's been through a lot in the far country. He no longer feels like he fits in the family. And yet, look at closely, he's still wearing his sword. The last sign of who he was, who he truly is. He is still his father's son. And bending over him, the old man, the father, eyes nearly blind, from years of scanning the horizon, waiting. His massive red cloak spread around his son like a wing of a bird, hands resting on his shoulders. Welcome home, son. To understand the painting, we need to understand the painter. As a young man, Rembrandt was wild and reckless. They say he was arrogant, extravagant, nearly impossible to live with. drove one or two wives away. Over 63 years, he had squandered his wealth, and he had lost his family. The beloved wife of his youth died. 3 young sons were lost, 2 daughters, and a second partner lost. And the masterpiece of his old age is a self-portrait. Rembrandt himself painted his own weathered face onto the compassionate Father. It's the face of a man who had reached the end of his own pride, who now understands something about grace that he could not have understood in his youth. Finally, he had become the compassionate one. The compassionate Father in the psalm we read this morning gives us a portrait of this kind of Father in 3 phrases: slow to anger, eager to forgive, deeply compassionate. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and mercy. That word in Hebrew, steadfast love and mercy, that word is hesed. Hesed. It means loving kindness, mercy without limits. That mercy that doesn't quit. And so when we stumble, when we fail, when we disappear, the first movement in God's heart is not fury and judgment, it's love and mercy, hesed. God is eager to forgive. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. In Sunday school, I used to sing, I don't know if your kids sing it here, but we used to sing, buried in the deepest sea. Yes, that's good enough for me. I will live eternally. Praise God, my sins are G-O-N-E gone. You sing that here? No. I still remember it from Sunday school days. It's good news. It's so good news, it's hard to believe. Just P.S. here, since you're Lutherans, Lutherans have a really good way of explaining this redemption, this forgiveness. They call it justification. Just as if I'd never sinned. Isn't that beautiful? Thank you, Lutherans, for that gift to the church. Justified means just as if I'd never sinned. God is deeply compassionate, that third phrase. As a father has compassion for his children, so does the Lord have compassion for those who fear him. For he knows how we're made. He remembers that we are dust. Now, you know that when the scripture says those who fear God, God will have mercy on. It doesn't mean be afraid of God. That word fear is better translated awe. When we stand or when we kneel in awe of God, we're not afraid, but wow, we're in awe. It's like, oh Lord, like Isaiah said, oh Lord, I see you high and lifted up. And it reminds me that I live among a people who are low and have failed, and there's no health in me. So it's an experience of the holy that brings us down to a humility. That's what awe is. So the Lord has compassion for those who are in awe of the Holy One. For he knows how we're made, and he remembers that we are dust. Might I add that we believe we're created in the image of God, therefore we're stardust. Stardust, we're golden. We reflect the divine image. In his light, we are light. So in the parable, we watch all 3 of these phrases move through the story. The wayward son comes to his senses. He's practiced a speech. He knows his speech. Father, I've sinned against heaven, against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired hands. But the father is not that interested in the speech. In fact, he's not interested at all. He's watching and he's waiting. And when he sees his son from afar, his son being on the road, afar off, he doesn't wait for the son to return. He runs out to the road, and he's filled with compassion. Compassion is to suffer with, and also passionate. The Greek word has a really great, complicated word for it, splankna. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Splankna. It means to feel in your guts, to feel the visceral passion of love. It's an amazing word. It's gut level compassion, the kind that moves through your whole body before your mind catches up. That's why he runs out to greet him. He can't control himself. He throws his arms around his child. He kisses him before the speech is given. He's calling out the best robe, ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, fatted calf, music, dancing, because what was lost is now found. What was dead has come back to life. No probation, no conditions, radical, might we add, reckless grace and unconditional love, acceptance, forgiveness. Nothing we can do to earn it. It's a gift. It's given. Like the song we sometimes sing to God in worship, you're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Love that. Well, look again at the painting. I added a second image, a close-up. Close-up picture? There, thank you. There it is. I wanted you to focus close-up on the two hands, okay? So look at the painting again, at the Father's hands. They're not the same hands. The right hand is broad, strong, thick. Can you see the pressure in that masculine-looking hand? The weight of it is on the son's shoulder, okay? And the left hand is smaller, softer, lighter, more tender. Interesting, isn't it? How Rembrandt did that. Rembrandt, who knew grief and who knew failure and redemption, painted the Father, a self-portrait, with two kinds of touch. One hand is firm. It says, like a father, I believe in you. You can do this. You got this. The proverbial, thumb in the back. Important for that firmness to be there. I'm not trying to give you child rearing advice, but just showing you the parable and the painting. The other hand is more tender. It's light. It's open. It says, perhaps with a softer voice, I've got you. You don't have to earn this. Peace, rest. We need both kinds of touches. A compassionate parent needs to learn how to do both or have both hands. A marriage needs both. A family needs both. I'm describing a love that holds us in two ways at once, with enough strength to give confidence and enough tenderness to give us peace. When only one hand is raised, Something's missing. Last week, on holiday, on a month away from home, I was in France, near the battlegrounds of World War I. I was presenting a paper at the C.S. Lewis conference in northern France, where Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, two of my favorite authors, fought in World War I. If you don't know C.S. Lewis, author of the Chronicles of Narnia and a bunch of other great books, I'm a fan. I'm an enthusiast. And I presented this paper, and I shared with the group a story of C.S. Lewis, whose name was Jack Lewis, he called himself, and about his father, whose name was Albert. A certain man in Ireland had two sons, Warnie and Jack, Clive Staples Lewis. And their mother died of cancer when Jack and Warnie were 9 years old, 9 and 10. It shattered their world. Their father, Albert, was an attorney, solicitor in Belfast, and he had to raise the boys alone. Yeah, he had the help of a nanny. He had English boarding schools, regular visits home, but he was a single parent. And Albert loved his sons, for sure, but he was emotionally limited. A man with one hand of blessing, really. He could provide, he could advocate, he could get things done. But the warmer hand, the hand of empathy, of emotional presence, of simply showing up, that hand was rarely raised. Both sons grew up and they went to war in France. And during the Battle of Arras on April 15, 1918, an artillery shell exploded beside Jack. Shrapnel tore into his chest, his leg, his wrist, one fragment piercing his lung. The sergeant standing next to him, or fighting next to him, was immediately killed. A man named Arras, who had become something of a father figure to young Jack Lewis in the trenches. At 19 years of age, Jack believed he was dying too. He later wrote about his near-death experience. He writes about it in his biography with kind of an eerie calm. He writes this: just after I had been hit, I found, or thought I found, that I was not breathing, and concluded that this was death. I felt no fear, and certainly no courage. It did not seem to be an occasion for either. Imagine that. No panic, no prayer, just a young man observing himself from somewhere strangely outside the moment, taking note of the facts. Well, Jack survived. Stretcher bearers carried him off the field, not far from where I stood. I went to visit the hospital where he and others were recovering last week. And he was eventually transferred to a hospital in Bristol, England, to recover. And from that hospital bed, Jack wrote his father a very tender letter. Basically, he said, I'm alive, I'm being cared for, I miss you, come and see me. He also wrote, I was never before so eager to cling to every bit of our old home, life, and see you. Come and see me. Albert wrote back promptly. He was relieved that his son was alive. He assured Jack that he was doing everything in his power to keep him from being sent back to the front. And as an attorney, he made good on that promise. He worked the system, and he got things done. But he didn't come to visit. Weeks passed, months. After 4 months of requests, Jack wrote, "If it has been 4 months now since I returned from France, and my friends laughingly say that my father in Ireland is a mythical creation." Oh, I feel sad and sorry for young Jack. I wish his father had found a way to visit him. One hand, strong hand, a caring hand. But one hand's not enough. Jack found the second hand he needed in a mother figure. One of his army buddies, his name was Patty Moore, Patty with a D, had a mother who was warm and present and emotionally attentive. And the two young soldiers had made a pact. If either of them died in battle, the survivor would care for the other's parent. Well, Patty was killed in battle, and Jack kept his word and moved in with Mrs. Jane Moore and her daughter, Maureen. And they became a family, the family he needed, with a lighter touch, a second hand. I have a second illustration of the two hands that are needed, a more recent example, two hands of blessing fully used. My friend and colleague, Bill Presnell, Dr. Bill Presnell, died last week at 91 years of age. He had a long, good, fruitful life as a minister, as a therapist, as a family man. He was the best to work with, a mentor to me in so many ways. In fact, he was a father figure to me as a younger professor when I was with him. And his daughter posted a beautiful tribute to him this week. I want to read you part of it. "Dad was a quietly intelligent, thoughtful, and steady, calm, and loving force in the lives of all who knew him. He was a beloved husband, father, stepfather, brother, grandpa, great-grandpa, uncle, minister, mentor, and counselor who touched so many lives. And now we will all strive to walk forward in his way of love, just as he taught us." And then in this post, she named the quality at the center of all his relationships. He had an indelible gift for truly seeing people. He truly saw them and responded from the heart. "Rest in sweet peace, Pop. We just love you to pieces." Both hands, steady, firm presence of a man who showed up, and the tender gift of someone who truly saw you and responded to you with splanchna, the visceral response from the heart, the guts. Sad to say, Albert Lewis, Jack's father, had one hand. Bill Presnell had two. And their children needed both. Well, happy Father's Day. Listen, most fathers fall short. Most of us have given more of one hand than the other. And most sons and daughters have needed more than their parents could give. Father's Day is complicated. Not everyone here has easy memories, and not everyone had a father who showed up. That is real. This is true. And it belongs in this room. But the parable and the painting together tell us this: there is, in the heart of compassion, there is a heart of compassion in the center of the universe. A Father who is slow to anger, eager to forgive, and deeply compassionate, who's been watching and waiting, who sees you coming from afar, who runs to meet you on the road, a Father who looks into your eyes and truly sees you, a Father who takes perhaps your head, cradles it in his hands, who sees you for who you truly are. And the invitation is simply to come home. No conditions, no probation, no speeches, just come home. God wants all his children home. And sometimes it takes a long time. So to kneel before the Father, to receive both hands of his blessing is, says Henry Nouwen, to hear the inner voice of love. That voice that says, you are my son, you are my daughter, you are my child. With you, I am well pleased. Wouldn't you like to come and hear that from your Father in heaven and your earthly fathers and mothers today? I hope we will hear that voice even today, for we have communion together. And in the communion service, as the gifts have been given, as the gifts will be given back to you, I encourage you to come, to kneel before the Father, to put your head on his chest, to listen for the heartbeat, and to discern the inner voice of love that says, you are my beloved. With you I'm well pleased. May we hear that voice today as we prepare for communion.